right. Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie Cox, founder of ACE Community, which is adventure, creativity, and enjoyment. And today I'm here with Kate Paine with Standing Out Online. Welcome, Kate. We're super excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, Jackie. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes, yes, I am too. So Kate is going to be our featured speaker next week at our ACE Community meeting. We meet once a month on the first Wednesday of the month, 4 to 6 p.m. at Bucket List Tavern in Castle Rock, Colorado. So we're super excited. Kate's going to be sharing about, having more fun with LinkedIn and your personal brand. I am so excited to be part of her Amplify Your LinkedIn presence right now. She's doing a group coaching class right now, and it is awesome. I have kind of put LinkedIn on my side burner, but I'm trying to bring it to the front burner now. So Kate's helping us with that, and it's pretty awesome because you can actually have fun with LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
Kate's showing us beautiful ways to do that. So I'm going to introduce Kate real quick, and then we're just going to have this awesome, fun conversation. Kate and I clicked right away when we first met a few years back.
Did it. Yep. So you're one of those people that you meet and you go, God, I think I've known you for like 20 years.
Exactly. So we've had fun. We have little innuendos that we have in between us, and we just have fun together. So I love it. I love that she's part of our community as well as part of a greater networking community, eWomen Network, that I'm part of. And it's Kate, you're such a blessing to have in my life. So
Thank you. I
yeah.
feel the same about you, Jackie, honestly. So
Thank you. Thank you. Well, so introducing Kate Paine, the founder of and CEO of Standing Out Online. Kate empowers authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs to stand out online, transferring them into recognized authorities in their industries. Her signature approach transcends traditional PR. She's not about press releases into the void. Instead, she crafts bespoke, resonant strategies. This is disruptive PR. I love that. It's tailored, it's nuanced, it's your story unleashed to captivate, influence, and become known. Everyone has a story, but most people believe they don't. She loves telling a person's story. It's what inspired her to pursue a journalism and communications degree and the path which led her into her writing, communications, media, and public relations career. As a journalist and PR professional for 25 years, Kate knows what makes a good story a great story. So, Kate, we're so excited to have you today.
thank you again. Thank you. It's always so funny to hear
Yes.
your bio again. It's like, forgot I said that.
Yeah, it's I love hearing people's bios and their stories and how they got to where they are today. So, tell me a little bit more about what inspired you originally to get into this industry and space that you're in right now.
Well, it's funny. When I was in junior high, back before they called it middle school, in
Right.
seventh
I was in
grade, I
junior high
just
too.
yeah. Um, I used to watch 60 Minutes with my dad. And
Nice.
and I wanted to be the next Diane Sawyer. Female journalists were very few at the time. It was Diane Sawyer, Barbara Walters, she was over
Right.
on ABC. And there were a few out in local and regional news, but still not many. There were still all male anchors and male weathermen and everything. And so it seemed like kind of a pipe dream, but it was kind of what I wanted to do. And it was all through high school. I was like on the school newspaper. I was on the yearbook committee. All of those things kind of like might seem
Yeah,
silly at the time, but it was sort of foretelling my my interest in that. And I'll tell you a quick little story too. I just thought of
love it.
in fourth grade, my parents gave me a Brownie Kodak camera. And I
Okay.
used to take it to school. And whenever we went on a field trip, I would always take pictures. So as I got into the Instamatic cameras and all that stuff through the years, I always took pictures of our class stuff. I grew up in a really small town in Vermont, Stowe. A lot of people might know it. There were 41 people in my graduating class. 33 of us had been together since kindergarten. So
Wow.
when we did our senior yearbook, we had all these pictures from like fourth grade, and 90% of the photos were that I had taken. And
That's
so,
odd.
when social media came out, I'm like, oh, this was created for me.
I love
Kidding.
that.
I mean, just because of being taking pictures. So
Yeah,
anyway, I ended up going to college in New York City, and I got an internship at CBS Evening News with Dan Rather
that's
at the time.
amazing.
So I actually did 2 years. I did 1 year on the morning show, and I did 1 year in the Northeast Bureau of the Evening News. Diane Sawyer was no longer there. And I actually realized I did not want to be an on-air journalist. I really
Okay.
wanted to be behind the scenes. I wanted to do the
Mhm.
writing, research, um, the the interviewing, but not necessarily on camera.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's where I kind of got into this. And when I went back to Vermont after I graduated, I worked at a newspaper. Then I got hired as the head of PR for one of our state colleges and so on down the path.
So on down the path. Absolutely. Well, so often in people's presentations and talks, they talk about how important it is to tell stories when they're up there, and getting the audience to trust them quickly. What have you learned about telling stories along the way, and how that has given you further opportunity to relate to the audience?
Well, there's a quote out there that maybe many of you have heard, entrepreneurs, that I think it's something like um, data tells, but stories sell, or do I have it backward? Anyway, my
Yeah,
point of
I'm
that
sure
is,
that's right.
yeah. But so it's not being salesy though. That's the
Right.
discernment. That's the distinction. So when I talk to people, when I work with my clients about like uncovering their story. So in my bio, you said a lot of people don't realize they have a story. I think everybody
Right.
sees that everybody else has a story and they go, I don't really know what my story is.
Yeah.
And so that's part of my job, is to figure out what's that piece that is in alignment with your values, but also the work that you do. Because that
Hmm.
story is what it's sort of like my story, that little story of I wanted to be the next Diane Sawyer. I might not have done that, but I did get an internship at CBS. And then I
Yeah.
did get into the PR and marketing world. And now I own my own business doing that was foundational skill sets for the work that I do now, right?
Yeah.
So when I work with my clients, I want to kind of find that little slice of life story. And
Right.
because that story is yours, no one else has it. But
Right.
more importantly, that story makes a connection with your reader, the person
Yeah.
you meet, and so that story makes people think about it. With all of us in some level of the coaching world or the business world in general or whatever, everything's built on relationships.
Mhm.
And when people are thinking about hiring you for a very personal service,
Mhm.
they want to feel like they can connect with you. And so if you use your story in a way that is intriguing and compelling, like on your LinkedIn profile or on the about page of your website, and you build trust with people, people remember you because you
Yeah.
share that story. And a story is different than a bio. Right.
Right.
A bio is like sort of your professional journey and why you are the go-to person for that work that you do. But the
Yeah.
story piece is what connects you to others. And it's the connection that builds trust. And if they trust you, then they might be more likely to hire you.
Yeah. That's amazing. And so when someone tells you, and I know they tell you all the time, and I've probably even shared this as well, but when someone tells you, I'm not even sure where to start with my story, or I don't know what the pieces that I want or willing to share, I know that you're really great about picking that out in people and helping them find their kind of their connection point to the
Yes.
audience. How do you help them overcome that?
Well, I think a lot of people just don't take the time to self-reflect. And
Sure.
this is almost like an exercise where you need to sort of just pause and breathe and kind of think about this and ask yourself some various questions like, why did I start my own business? Or why did I
Yeah.
become an expert in such and such industry? And think about the backstory, think about the origin story. And you know what? Maybe there isn't one. Maybe there isn't one like mine. I mean,
Hmm.
Jackie, when we were working together on your about section for your
Hmm.
LinkedIn, you had already had something in your profile about the power of play.
Yeah.
And that's so part of your ACE community, right?
Yeah.
So when we were working on, I'm like, let's build that out more,
Yeah.
and one of the things that you said that still sticks in my head, not only do you create an atmosphere for people to go and understand the power of play for themselves, but you are playing with everybody,
Yes.
not standing on the sidelines with a clipboard and taking pictures. Well, I mean, you are taking pictures, but I mean, that's not
Yes.
that's not why you're there. You're there to
Right.
immerse yourself in the same experience as everybody else. And
Yes.
so that makes what you do unique. So that's the piece is the story builds trust, but it also is the piece that makes you memorable.
Yeah.
Um, think about when people vet people online. They go and read LinkedIn profiles or about pages or wherever they
Right.
see stuff.
Yeah.
And if they land on your profile by way of a Google search, what are they going to find there if they get to your LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile? If it's just a bio and it's just kind of me, um,
Right.
may not make a connection. So
Yeah.
it's a good
Yeah.
first impression.
Interesting. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's a great perspective, and everybody has a story, whether they,
It is.
like you said, whether they've self-reflected on that or not, they all have a story. And whether that's where you come from, what are the things you
Yep.
did as a youth, or some of those things, they all tie into today and where each individual is at today. I truly believe that as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. I mean, if you don't have like an origin story like I did back to 7th grade,
yeah.
which totally makes sense to what I do now, but some
Right.
people might have gone to college for um, political science. And then they get to college and they have some kind of an experience, whether personal or related to school. And they're like, that's what I want to do. And it has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the original major, like political
Yeah.
science. Maybe they wanted to get a fine arts degree. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
that could be your story. Well, I thought I wanted to be a politician. And then I went
Yeah.
to college and then I decided I wanted to be an artist. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an unexpected kind of thing. But that could be your story too. That could be that
Yeah.
little slice of life story.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to me a little bit actually. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to college and I really didn't know what my path was until about my junior year. And then finally I took a graphic design class in my undergrad and I thought, and that was the sticking point. That was actually what got my husband and I out to Colorado here is I then went to school at the Art Institute and got a graphic design
Oh,
degree
wow.
in addition to my undergrad. And that was years later. I mean, I was already well past, graduating
Yeah.
college and so it was though, and that's where it really was a tie to more color and more options and more, fun in who I am and the brand that I represent. And it was really back to that one class in college.
Yeah. Well, it's
So,
funny. I wanted to be a photographer. That's what I wanted to be. And
yeah,
my dad was paying for college at the time, and he's like, "Nope, not paying for you to become an artist, starving artist." And
sure.
I was like, "Damn." So then I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do English journalism." And I ended up going to a couple colleges before I went. I ended up at an art school in New York City, a 4-year art school called the School of
Wow.
Liberal Arts that had a communication arts program. And that's
Perfect.
where I got my internship and everything. But anyway, it's funny how all those things work out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we briefly talked about fun a little bit. I mean, we both mentioned it in different sentences here, but what do you do with your clients to help them feel a little bit more of their fun-loving spirit, of their fun in their lives, or their fun, more fun with LinkedIn? How do you
Yeah.
help them bring that into your space as well?
Well, I think it starts with the story. With my one-to-one clients, I do a
Yeah,
whole intensive with them where I interview
sure.
them. I mean, it's not just like a 30-minute conversation.
Right.
We write it for them. It's a done for you and a done with you service and all that. So, but when I'm doing that and I'm saying like your story, we're going to use it in your LinkedIn profile in your about section.
Mhm.
But this story is going to help you understand yourself more. And you
Sure.
might want to be using it in other places. It's not like it can only be on LinkedIn. You can use it anywhere. Maybe you want to incorporate some of it into your bio, especially if you're a speaker for when you come on
Sure.
stage. So by doing that though, they like, but does anybody on LinkedIn really want to see that? I thought LinkedIn was so professional. And it
Yeah.
is. The voice there is professional, but
Yeah.
you can still show personality. And so
Yeah.
that's the piece when I feel like their eyes open big and going, oh, I can have some personality on LinkedIn. Not only can you
Yeah.
have it by way of your profile, but you should have it in your content too. So I think
Yeah.
that's always a bit of a surprise. One of the things I suggest to my client is think about something unexpected and quirky that would describe yourself that you put in your headline. Like for mine, it's paddleboard fanatic.
I
So,
love that. Yeah.
so it's like these little pieces that you can do to paint a picture of who you are as a whole person, not just by your job title.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so at what point did you feel like it was, I know LinkedIn kind of got introduced in the early mid 2000s,
2003. Hmm.
2003, so early
Yep.
2000s. I came on board with LinkedIn in 2007, but I know that it's so important. So at what point did you decide that you really wanted to become an expert in that space and really helping? I mean, because it goes so well with your
Mhm.
current business that it's I mean, the PR disrupting PR, I think you're doing that on LinkedIn by telling people they can show their personality and bring more fun into it while still having a professional voice. But where was it? What really pinpointed it for you, knowing that LinkedIn was going to be a great platform for you?
I love that you asked this question. I don't really get asked that question very much. When I was so at the time that right before I started standing out online, I had had a couple other iterations of my own business. So I used to be Kate Payne Associates, and I was doing PR, and I
Okay.
was living in Vermont, and I was doing PR for like nonprofits and small mission-driven organizations. And then I had a life change, and I ended up having to go work for someone. So I went to
Mhm.
work for a marketing agency, which was a really great experience to see marketing from a different perspective, right?
Sure.
And perspective is my word of the year.
Yeah, I love it.
And so when I decided, it's funny, I got that through that, and I thought, you know something, I feel like I don't mean to sound like I'm a psychic or anything, but I feel like I've always had foresight about certain industries. And
Sure.
so when I decided to resign from the agency and start my own next iteration, I was like, nope, it can't be Kate Payne Associates. I was trying to think of I'm going to help people with their online positioning. Social media was really fairly new in
Mhm.
2007, 2008,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was really only being used socially. It wasn't being used for marketing.
Sure.
Then in 2000, I guess it was probably 2012 or 13, people were really starting to use social media as part of their marketing. And
Sure.
so then I started to think about like all the people who are what I used to call back then solo entrepreneurs or solopreneurs.
Right.
They have to put themselves out there in a different way than a company because the companies have big marketing budgets. They can do
Right.
ads, they can do all the things. But the solopreneurs are like, I don't have very much to work with. How can I do this? And that's kind of what triggered it. At first, I thought it was going to be more related to like Facebook. But then when I started taking all these webinars on LinkedIn, I'm like, there's a real opportunity here
Sure.
for people to position themselves as the expert in their industry or the go-to
Nice.
resource in their industry.
Yeah.
And then that's standing out online was born.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when you started, what, about
So I
2013?
started standing out online officially in 2014.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
working on it in 2013, but I
Yeah.
was still working my regular job. But I started doing LinkedIn profiles for people. I was charging $200.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so much work.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn was not anywhere near as robust as it is now. But,
Right.
but there was still, I was still doing the interview, I was still doing the writing, we were doing all the editing. I mean, it was hours and hours. And then I was like, you know something, I'm going to look into this more. And I
Yeah.
reached out to other people like that were LinkedIn experts that I didn't even know. And a
Hmm.
couple of them were super nice and took me under their wing and mentored me and helped me build my business, even though I was sort of a competitor.
Interesting. That's amazing.
But see, that's the thing about online. You don't
Yeah.
really have competition.
Sure.
Everybody can have their own channels. Everybody can have their own networks. It's
Yeah.
not like you're, four of the same types of stores on a street block.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah. Well, definitely LinkedIn has had its evolution for sure. How do you
Yes.
feel like you have stayed, on top of the trends with the moving pieces of that?
Yeah, when I first was really, really digging in, I mean, I signed up for a LinkedIn profile probably in 2006.
Mhm.
And I was up there just like everybody else. I'm like, yeah, I've got this digital presence, from my career standpoint.
Yeah.
If I ever go for a job, people might see me,
Yeah.
whatever. That was
Yeah.
it, the extent of it. It was kind of like a digital Rolodex.
Yeah.
And then when I started really digging into it, and I just kept seeing the opportunity, the possibility there.
Nice.
Um, but I also was seeing that the shift was happening in LinkedIn, that it had always been seen as a job seeking platform.
Sure. Mhm.
Admittedly, it still is. But
Mhm.
also people were starting to see the marketing channel aspect of it too.
Yeah.
And I feel like I kind of was in the ground floor of that. There were other people who were seeing it too. We were just all in different parts of the country. I
Uh,
never in a million years thought I would have a customer outside of Vermont.
oh, interesting.
No, I mean, Vermont's a
Oh,
small state, 600,000 people population. I lived
wow.
in a town of 4,500 people. And even though I traveled and did this, that, I just never thought I would have clients outside. And so when I started opening up to all these channels online and social media and LinkedIn, the network got bigger. And then when I got a
Yeah.
client from like Florida, I was like, I have a client in Florida. Then I had a
Yeah.
client in New York City. And then I had a client from the UK. And it was just like you start to
Amazing.
really see the possibility. And I got really excited and I read all I could. I went to every webinar. I was just, and that's the way I am. It was just like why I
Yeah.
wanted to be a journalist. I'm always absorbing
You're a
as much
learner. Yeah.
intel as I can, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. That's incredible. I mean, it's so interesting how much everything has changed. I mean, like I said, I came onto LinkedIn in 2007 and I was at the Art Institute at that time. And so one of our instructors had like that was part of our class one time. We had to
Yeah.
set up this LinkedIn profile for ourselves and I was like,
Really?
"What? Why?" And at that time, in 2007, I mean, I was getting ready to come out of the
Yeah.
Art Institute by 2008, and so it was completely a job searching tool for me
Right.
at that point,
Yep.
and yet, it was so interesting because the arts and LinkedIn, I didn't know how they were gonna mesh, and so
It seems
it wa
like there's no, yeah.
yeah, and so it was just interesting, and so I kinda had to shift how I thought about things, and, along the way, I actually got told, much past the Art Institute, but I got told, "You kinda write a little bit technically like, it sounds a little too professional when I write," and so I
Yeah.
really had to learn some things of
Yeah.
how to bring my own like I said, I'm still learning because I'm taking class with you right now, and how to bring my own persona and my own personality into it where it doesn't sound like I'm, this
Yeah.
weird
Well, you're
strict.
doing a great job, first of all. The other
Well,
thing
thanks.
that your
Thanks.
listeners might not realize is that Microsoft bought LinkedIn in
Sure.
2016 for $26.2 billion.
Wow.
I mean, I was like, wow, really? For LinkedIn? You know, I mean, there was a part of me that did that. But and I was worried. In fact, a lot of us who are LinkedIn coaches, if you will, uh,
Yeah.
and by the way, I have no affiliation with
No,
LinkedIn,
I know.
unfortunately. No, I just want everybody to know. And there is no such thing as a certified LinkedIn coach because LinkedIn
Right.
doesn't do that. So
Yeah.
when I say a LinkedIn coach, just means I'm a coach that helps you with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But it just the platform, it gave more possibility. We were all
Sure.
really worried that it was just gonna tank. And it didn't actually. And so
Yeah.
they keep changing it. So, you find a voice, you find a vibe, and then you communicate knowing that like Instagram has a vibe, Facebook has a vibe, TikTok has
Yep.
a vibe, LinkedIn has its own vibe. And there's no competition to LinkedIn either. So there's real opportunity there for people. And and
Right.
I'm that's part of my mission is to make people realize the possibilities that you can have there. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's the spring stuff going around.
Yeah, I know.
So, let's shift a little bit just to personal. I mean, not diving into all the personal things, but what are some things you've mentioned paddleboard, some of the things that you do for fun that also inspire you while you're doing your business?
Well, growing up in Vermont, I was very fortunate to do just about any and all sports. And so, whether it was in school sports or whatever, but I was a downhill skier, I was a cross country skier, as an ice skater,
That's awesome.
snowmobiler, I mean, we had access to everything outside our front door. In the summer, my family had a summer camp on the lake. So we water skied, we canoed, we kayaked, we paddleboarded when that became a thing. And so I'm kind of feel very fortunate that I can do all
Yeah,
these things,
that's awesome.
but I love the water, and I think as I've gotten older, I still like to ski, but it's not like my passion.
Sure.
I love to be on, in, or near the water, and so
Yeah.
paddleboarding offers me some challenges because if you go out when it's rough, it's almost like a semi-surfing kind of atmosphere, but it's a
Sure.
challenge, and then there's times where I just
Sure.
go out and it's really placid, and I can take my dog with me, and I can just go at my own pace, and I can take
I love
pictures
that.
and float along the water. So I love the versatility of it. But I've always said that I can have fun inside a paper bag. So I can certainly make my own fun, and I love to have fun. And I like to help people find a way to show that
Mm.
playful fun side of their personality by way of a channel like LinkedIn. So
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's such a great transition, right? Of that strict professional space to no, you know what? Again, people want to see us as individuals. They don't care about the company name, they don't care about anything else. They want to see us and we are the brand and we are
yeah,
what makes up our companies, right? And so people make companies.
right.
It's
And
not
people
anything
want to do
else.
business with people, not logos.
Absolutely.
I
And so
just thought of something when you said what you said.
yeah,
I just thought of a good little sort of example to give by what I mean of being more playful on LinkedIn.
yeah, love
Should I
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you already are going to post, you're going to a networking event. Okay. And the speaker there is somebody who's a well-known author of a book, and you've read the book and you just love that book. And so you go to this event and you meet your friends and you take a selfie with the author of
Okay.
that book, who's the speaker. And you go over to either Facebook or Instagram and you do a post. I was at the such and such event today. The speaker she wrote this book. She's just an amazing person. And then I got to see all my friends. And then there's like 6 selfies of you with your friends. Great.
Yeah.
That's a great post. Take that post, that same
Fun.
photo, take that post over to LinkedIn and tweak the angle a little bit. You know, I have been following author Sally Smith for however long because I
Yeah.
love the way she talks about leadership. There's an aspect of leadership that she talks about that is one of my values that I bring to my business as a coach. And then
Mm,
and then they still show the same photos, still talk
mm,
about the event, but now they're sharing the thought leadership of someone else they respect. So that makes you look trusted. You're sharing
mm,
how you use it in your own business, and you're sharing it in a way that is sort of behind the scenes with a little bit of an awareness educational component on LinkedIn. So,
beautiful.
so do you see the difference?
Right.
You know,
Right. Absolutely.
so then you're not looking like if you took that same exact post that you put on Facebook and Instagram and you go over and post it and it's more of the playful silliness. I mean, like the
Mm,
networking piece, which is not bad. It's
yeah.
just, do you see where you're taking it to the next level and being
Yeah.
a little different, but which is
Yeah.
set you apart from others and set you apart
Yeah.
from people in your industry. So that's kind of a quickie example of what I mean by
Yeah.
having a little bit of a different voice, but you're also showing a part of your personal world without
Yeah.
saying, look at my personal world.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Now, I know part of like what one of the things I heard in the group class we're doing is, not to post things on the same exact day on
Right.
certain channels or whatever. But I mean, in a case like that, what you just described, this event that just
Mhm.
happened, don't you want it to be kind of current with?
Yeah, you still could. I mean, you could even if you want to, if you have the app on your phone and you want to do like this incredible thing, post right there from your phone and put it out there.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I'm just saying a lot of times when people want to post, they're scheduling it, so they take all the
Oh, okay.
pictures and then
Okay.
they do it after the fact.
I
So,
got you.
but absolutely, if you're learning something in the moment and it's and you're pumped to do it and you want to take the 3 minutes to post it live, absolutely
Okay.
do that. I'm talking about scheduled content. So
Okay. Okay.
because I have a social media manager. I use a tool called Agorapulse. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a HubSpot or a Hootsuite or a Buffer. And I
Sure.
have all my accounts connected to it. But when we create the content calendar, all of my posts go out on different channels on different days and times. Because think
Sure.
about it. If you post everything on the same day and time,
Right.
every single time, nobody can be in all those places. Not one person can't be in all those places at once.
Right.
So
Right.
you want to stagger the content to be sure you're getting new eyes and fresh eyes on your stuff.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, awesome. I mean, we could chat about this
I
all day
know.
long, I feel like. But I'm gonna wrap this up. But before I do, I wanna, why don't you share with the audience what you have coming up now and how they can get in touch with you?
Okay. Well, actually, I'm going to be speaking at your event, as you mentioned, next week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking a little bit about being more playful on LinkedIn,
Yeah, I love
similar to
that.
this. We'll just go a little deeper and I'll take questions. As far as stuff coming up, I actually have my first granddaughter that's going
Ah,
to be born on June 5th. So after a couple events in early May, I'm not really planning on anything because I don't know when they'll need me, and I'm going back to Vermont to be there for them. And so I'm so
yay.
excited. That's my son and daughter-in-law, Christy. And it's a baby, it's a girl. So
Yay.
and then other than that, I'm just gonna do some travel for fun. I want to be on the water more this summer. That's definitely what
Nice.
I want to do for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if you ever offer the amplify your LinkedIn presence again as a group, I highly, highly recommend it. I have been part of it. I know you do that more one-on-one too. You'll dive deeper.
Mhm.
And I have been part of it for the last 3 weeks now. We have 3 more weeks to go. And it's very eye-opening and very refreshing of just a new perspective. That's your word. That's also a great word. For LinkedIn. And it's helping me to put it a little bit, like I said, more on that top burner instead of the back burner. And it's helping me have a little bit more fun with it.
Good.
So I
Good.
really
I'm glad.
appreciate what you have shared. You have shared so much content in these 3 weeks, and it's just been awesome. So if you ever offer it again, audience, you should know you should jump on it or
Thank you.
jump on it one on one with her, with Kate Paine here. So it's been awesome. Standingoutonline.com is your website. And so,
Yep. My email is kate@standingoutonline.com or connect with me on LinkedIn.
yes.
Kate Payne, Paine.
Yes, awesome, awesome. So, Kate, thank you so much for coming on with me today, and we're so excited to see you next week. Again, we do meet for our ACE Community Adventure, Creativity, and Enjoyment. We do meet on the first Wednesday of the month, so Wednesday, April 2nd, rather, 4 to 6 p.m. at Bucket List Tavern in Castle Rock, Colorado. So if you're in the area, we'd love to have you there with us, and that way you'll get to hear Kate as well. So, Kate, thank you so much again for your time and energy. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you too, Jackie, and I'll see everybody next week.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Have a
Okay,
great day,
bye-bye.
everybody.